Hey everybody, this is Cole Boling with the Boling Group at Keller Williams One Legacy Partners in Topeka. In partnership with my wife, we are continuing on with our series of the different documents that we use when we're listing a house or real estate contract type stuff. Today, we are getting into the seller's property disclosure statement. This is what we give to a seller to basically tell everything they can about their property. It is in the seller's best interest to put everything that they can think of that potentially could come up in a transaction on this form. This form is extremely important when it comes to relaying the information. And this is the one form that I can tell you most of the time does result in either keeping people out of a lawsuit or putting people into a lawsuit. Another key aspect of the seller disclosure that is extremely important is if you put it on here and the buyer does not request for something to be repaired, they cannot necessarily request it later. I'm not saying they can't. Everybody can do whatever they like. However, from a somewhat legal standpoint, they cannot request it later on. If like the home inspector brings up, oh, well, this isn't working. If they go back to the whole house or the seller's property disclosure statement and it says it wasn't working and they never requested at the time of the offer, they're gonna have a lot harder time including that in any repair request. So we're gonna dive right in. First thing first, right here, we have the property address. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. The date of which you're going to be filling it out, the age of property, if you know it. Our county does pretty much tell us what every property's age is. Then you have the date in which you purchased it. Pretty simple, self-explanatory. This form is not a warranty or guarantee of any kind by the seller or the brokers involved in the transaction and is not to be substituted for a buyer having the property carefully examined for potential problems or defects by a qualified professional. So we highly recommend that you do get a professional home inspector or specialists involved. So then we go down into the categories. There is 4 pages. We're not going to go through the whole 4 pages line by line, but what we'll talk about is the main things. We have an appliance section here, and the appliance section is just going to break it down. Is it working, not working, or not included? So if you want to keep your let's just use the kitchen refrigerator, for instance, we're going to say none or not included, right? And then if any of those items have something that we need to put additional comments about, like our kitchen range or cooktop, one burner does not work. So it's working, but down here I'm going to put back right burner does not work. We'll put it right there. Then we go to number 2, electrical systems. This is when we're going to get into similar items, but this is going to have some other detailed areas inside of here that we're going to click. Things that are included with like this one in the security system would be like smoke alarms and different carbon monoxide detectors and those. And you'll put them here, owned and leased. And then if we have anything here we need to add, we can add it here or actually down here. This is where you put who your electric service provider is, and then any other additional comments if we need to break down a little bit further. Hey, we have mostly working ceiling fans, but the one in the kids' bedroom does not work. We would write that right here. Heating and cooling systems. This is where we're going to detail out what we have. We have a heat pump, or do we have a gas, or do we have propane? Like what do we have going on right here? We're going to get into fireplaces. What are we working with? Wood, gas, and so forth. You're going to put working, not working, or not included. Same thing down here. If you have anything else you need to write, please write it in the comments. Then we're going to get plumbing systems. Same thing here. We're going to get into right here. We need to know how many hot water tanks you have. What are they? Are they gas? What is the gallon of the hot water tank? Then down here, if we have any other pools, hot tub, different kind of equipment and stuff, we put those here. Then once we fill out page 1, you're going to initial your block if you're the seller. And then if you're reviewing as the buyer, you're going to initial right here that you read it. Next page, we're going to add the property address. We're going to add the date. Then this is going to be where we get into the roof and insulation. We're going to write up here approximately what the age of the roof is and the type of the roof. Is it a composition? Is it asphalt? Is it clay tile? Is it whatever it is? We're going to put it here. And then any information that we have here. Is there any leaks and so forth? We'll go through all of this and then we'll put additional comments in here. We've talked about this before. Does the structure include an exterior insulated finish system? It's called EIFS. It's kind of like stucco. It's a little bit of a more challenging product. So we'll put that on here and any information we have of that. Then if we have any past or present moisture problems around the foundation, this is where we must disclose all of that stuff right here. And then there's some other things here where you can put in for structural foundation or walls, all of those items here as well. Everything that you can tell us about it. If you know something, please mark it here. If it's a basement, crawl space, or slab. And then we're going to finish out this page with one too many. This bottom section is just more water and drainage stuff. Is it connected to the city water, rural water? If it's on a well, to your knowledge, where are we at with the well? Has it been tested, examined, things like that? To your knowledge, does any neighbors have any complaining issues with drainage and stuff? Those are the things that we're going to make sure we put in here. If you know it's in a FEMA floodplain, we need to make sure we mark that. Property connected to what kind of sewer system? So is it city? Is it a county sewer? Is it a septic? Is it a private lagoon? And so forth. Are you aware of any past problems related to the sewer? We're going to put all that information right here. All right, same thing. We're going to initial the bottom of each page in your respectable blocks. Third page, we have property address, date. This is where we're going to talk about boundaries, land, restrictions, covenants. Do we know if there's a PIN survey or a mortgage title inspection on the property? Are the property pins visually marked? Are there any encroachments, boundaries, things like that? Fences, this is where we need to talk about who owns the fences. This is very critical. This does come up a lot. Who's in charge of maintaining them? Do we have any adjoining landowners, such as walls, fences, roads, or driveways that we share? Do you know of any siding, settling, earth things, any zoning issues, anything like that? We're going to put right here. And then any special assessments of the property that we know about, we're going to require additional documents if we do, but that's like, are we still paying for the streets, the utilities, and so forth? Environmental disclosures. If we know of any environmental disclosures and things going on in the property, we need to mark it here and so forth. Do we know of obnoxious weeds? Do we know, are they aware of any other conditions that may cause hazardous, or is there any toxic waste or anything that's been spilled on the property, right? These are things that we need to know. Is there mold that we know about? Has it been inspected for mold? Have you received any reports pertaining to mold? All of that will go here, and then you probably want to write out additional comments here, what that may be. Then we get into any other disclosures. Are you aware of any additional alterations to property without a building permit? Non-conforming uses, the bedrooms. Sometimes we have bedrooms and basements that don't have fire egress windows. We're going to write that down here. We're going to disclose that. We're going to talk about pets and then smoking, different things like that. When was the last time fireplaces were clean, and so forth. Initial your respective blocks here. Following last page, once again, property disclosure, current date, damage disclosure. Are there any trees dead, diseases, any affecting from termites, wood destroying things, any fire damage, rodents problems, any insurance claims, anything that you've had during your ownership, you're going to put here, and then add them in the additional comments. Pretty self-explanatory. If you read it line by line, it gives you the answer. You'll fill in every block, and I recommend you fill in everything. And then you're going to write down here, seller certifies that they have here and true and correct to the best of their knowledge. They're going to check one of these, or the seller has not occupied the property or managed it. I still recommend that you get one of these filled out or fill one of these out, even if the person that is selling them has never lived there, because typically they know something about the property. Then if you're the seller, you're going to sign here. If you're the buyer, you're going to sign here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our seller's property disclosure statement. Thank you for joining me. I'm Cole Boling with the Boling Group at Keller Williams, One Legacy Partners in Topeka. Look forward to talking with you soon. Bye-bye.